Yesterday, I had a meal in the middle of the day that was not majority protein. I know that. I had popcorn.
Would you say you had a cup of popcorn, a tub of popcorn, a truckload of popcorn? What quantity are we talking about? Listen, I want to congratulate you for making it to week 3. You're back. Here you are once again. And like I said, if you show up every single week, there's no way that you can possibly fail. And I want you to update everyone right now. The anticipation is building. It's been 2 weeks now of dieting. The first week, you had a big, significant weight loss. It was, what was it? 354 to 348, around 6.5 pounds, I think it was.
Yeah.
The first week. And the second week is this week. So I want to know exactly what happened this week. I want you to give us the rundown, tell us what the number is, and tell us how the week went.
All right. Today's number is 345.7.
That is correct. 345.7. So that's a total of 2.4 pounds lost over this past week. The first week, like I said, a portion of that was going to be water weight, probably at least half of it, because you're going on a lower carb diet. So naturally, your body's going to shed water. So I anticipated the next week is going to slow down unless you got extreme, which I didn't think was going to happen. I think you're going to test the limits to see how far you can go in terms of latitude on the diet plan to see what you can get away with. And I don't mind that one bit. So the fact that you're down 2.4 pounds, I do want to extrapolate from that 2.4 pounds a week over a 1-year period is over 100 pounds lost. So 2.4 pounds sounds good to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but I want to get your feedback on what actually happened this week, and how do you feel about the actual weight loss itself, the number?
Yeah, it's mixed feelings. Mixed feelings. I was hoping to get in the lower 340s and really make a dent so that I was within striking distance of getting out of the 340s next week. But at the same time, I did, play around a little bit and see, what I could negotiate and what get away with at the time. So I can't really be too upset with the outcome. Like you say, if I go at this rate over a long period of time, the overall outcome is going to be positive, real positive. So the net effect is really a good thing. And so I need the positive affirmation that I'm getting right now from you, certainly. But yeah, it's a little bit mixed feelings. I did not introduce the exercise this week. Multiple reasons for that. So that's something I'd like to really put more energy into this week. I don't know if 3 days it's going to be as easy to do as I'd like it to be, but I'm going to have to make a concerted effort to do some of that on the weekend, just seeing what the work schedule looks like right now. If I can introduce some of that over the course of the weekend, and then get to it where I can during the week, then hopefully I can get close to the three sessions a week with the cardio. Then that'll be another step that I have not taken yet. Yeah, and then food. One thing I was feeling at times. I think I probably should start measuring my waist too, because like at times I was feeling like like I'm feeling like it's noticeable, starting to get to be a little bit noticeable in that regard. So I want to take measurement, and even when measurements don't necessarily stack up on the weight on the scale, maybe it might show up in other ways, and that might give me some positive reinforcement as well.
Well, my normal recommendation is to take your weight, measure your waist, and take a caliper reading of the stomach. So that way you have 3 readings to analyze. And if at least one of them is declining, you're headed in the right direction. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too many things at once. I wanted to start as basic as I possibly could. If I could get you to weigh yourself every week, to show up here each and every week and update us, and to give us a number that's improving every week, then we're headed down the right path. And I didn't feel like I had to push for anything more. But now that you brought it up, if you're willing to measure your waist, I'm all for it. Like, that just gives us another statistic to monitor to determine how things are going. And you just sometimes you may have a weight loss that's not what you would want it to be, but you see that the waist has declined quite considerably, or vice versa. And that just having that extra measurement can give you the motivation going into the following week. And also, if the weight happens to not decline for whatever reason, maybe you're retaining more water, maybe you just haven't emptied your bowels that morning completely, or whatever it may be, like you end up looking at that other measurement, and if the waist size has gone down, then there's no reason to panic. I don't have to make any changes. I obviously have lost something because my waist is smaller than it was last week. So I don't need to just focus on that body weight figure now that you have something else to analyze as well. So you're able to do that consistently every week. That would be good. The more information you have, the more of an educated choice you can make going forward. So I'm all for that. I'm now the victim of the common mistake of assuming going into an interview before you actually get some information from the person you're interviewing, because for some reason, and I know you all too well to have made this assumption, but it was a foregone conclusion that you did 3 weeks of cardio. 3 days of cardio this week. So I just went into it I didn't even give it a second thought. And so I'm thinking 3 days of cardio, the 2 pounds of weight loss. He's not going to be thrilled with that. Like, I'm perfectly fine with it. Like I said, this is a long game for me. And I know 2.4 pounds a week is well over 100 pounds a year. So you would consistently keep that up. You'll be in great shape a year from now, no doubt about it. So to me, that's something you can actually celebrate. But I know full well that when you notice that figure versus the weeks prior, and you compare the two, that for you, it may have been somewhat of a letdown. It may have not been what you had anticipated going in if you had been doing 3 days of cardio. But now that you didn't do the 3 days of cardio, it's actually more impressive than it was going in, because with no exercise, you consistently now for 2 weeks have lost weight, not only no exercise, but loose on the diet. In other words, making much better choices, going down a path that's consistent with your weight loss goal, but is not nearly as strict as it could be, yet you are losing weight, and you're losing a considerable amount of weight. So that to me would be motivational if I were in your shoes, because unless you were looking to achieve overnight results, and I know that you are, like I know you all too well to realize that you want this over yesterday, not tomorrow, but you were last week. But point being, you realize that you're coming here every week and you're reporting a number, and you want that number to be as big as it could possibly be. What you're seeing is that it's going to be all contingent upon how much you're willing to do that week. So if you're going to take a more liberal diet approach with no exercise, the results are going to be what they are. They're going to be a couple pounds a week, probably. That's probably going to be what you achieve. If you stay with this, you might be within that range week to week. You want that to increase. If you want to start losing weight more quickly, and you want to start seeing results in the 5 pounds a week range, in that vicinity, or even more, then you get more extreme. You add more exercise, or you add exercise. You do as much as you possibly can in a week. You tighten up the diet a little bit more. But whatever you do, I would make it gradual. You said you haven't done any exercise for the past 2 weeks. So because your schedule is busy with work and you got a family at home, I would say, we had that ambitious 3-day workout last week planned. So why not go to just get one session in this week? Just do something one day, 30 minutes. Like if you could get that in, that would be a win, because then you've done that for a week and you've done that, and that that's something that you probably can fit in the next week. And so once you get to that one a week workout, then we can go from there. But going from 0 to 1 is a huge win. So I would say try to just plan next week. I wouldn't become overly ambitious with exercise. I would just try to get one workout in. In fact, challenge yourself to do it. Like I'm going to do it whatever day I have to do it. Just have the forethought going into your week and say, I got to get this in. What would be the most opportune time for me to be able to get this one workout of 30 minutes in? Then I'm done for the week when it comes to exercise. And plan that ahead of time. And so that way, going into the week, because if you kind of leave it haphazard, it's not going to happen. It just the week kind of gets by and it escapes you, and before you know it, there's no more time, and here we are again for another week. So if you can pick, and how your week usually, one day may be busier than another day, there might be easier to sneak it in a certain time. Plan ahead of time for that one workout and get that in next week. That would be a huge progress in my opinion. And when it comes to the diet, how do you feel in terms of what you were eating, comparing last week to this past week to the week prior? What would you say if were any differences, if any? Was there more latitude? Was it approximately the same? How would you analyze it if you had to compare the two?
I would say a little bit more latitude, but not much. Not much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Last night. Yeah. I mean, yesterday I had a meal in the middle of the day. It was not majority protein. I know that it wasn't complete. I mean, I've had way worse. You know what I mean? Like my standards for my meals have changed. So even when I'm doing damage, it's not what it used to be. But like I had popcorn. So it was like it wasn't probably what I should be having, but it wasn't probably doing the damage. I had a little bit of a guilty complex about it based on what I'm supposed to be accomplishing right now. But at the same time, realistically, I probably wasn't doing the damage that I would have been doing in my previous life. So
did you have, like, would you say you had a cup of popcorn, a tub of popcorn, like a truckload of popcorn? Like what quantity are we talking about? Just give us an approximation just so we can envision.
If I had to measure it in cups, I would probably say 4 or 5 cups.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you have a meal, I mean, popcorn is light and airy. It's not as, it's not as calorically dense as a lot of other things that you could consume. Was it just regular popcorn or caramelized popcorn, or what kind?
No, but it had, had butter on it.
Okay. All right. So when you have a meal the day before you weigh in, certainly if you have a meal that's higher in carbs, it's possible that you could weigh in more than you otherwise would because you'd be retaining more water. Just because your body, when it has more carbs in a meal, it tends to hold more water weight. That's why when you go on a low carb diet, initially you'll lose a lot that first week because you're shedding water from your body because the carbs are low. Well, if you add carbs back to your body, you're going to start retaining more water. So it's possible that if you have a big carb meal the day before weigh-in, you could end up weighing 1-2+ pounds more than you otherwise would had you not eaten that meal. So that's all. You always keep that in mind when you do weigh yourself. This could give you a false sense of confidence now that I've told you that. Like, oh man, maybe I lost 4 or 5 pounds. Maybe I'm on the right track here, and you are on the right
Yeah,
track. So,
you're could be doing more
yes, I know.
damage.
I better hold back. I better hold back with my wisdom until the time is right. But uh, overall, I think regardless of that, 2.5 pounds down in a week is fantastic. So, and the best part about this is you haven't gotten extreme on anything. Like you can say without a doubt that so far there's been no exercise and your eating has been it has not been what we discussed going in strictly. It has been a loose version of that. So how would you say now that it's 2 weeks of following the same basic diet routine where you've had some latitude, how do you feel about that diet if you had to stick with that exact diet long term and make no changes to the plan? How do you feel about it 2 weeks in?
I mean, given the fact that I've got a little bit of latitude, it doesn't cause me much stress, to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. Having latitude is important. Um, it's an important piece of it just because I need freedom. I need some level of flexibility and freedom, just not to be locked in. But yeah, I mean, like I guess I was a little bit apprehensive about, when I've done some more extreme things in the past. I feel like I've suffered, like maybe mentally or whatever it be, like energy wise. I don't feel like I've had any lack for energy or um, mental focus or anything like that. I feel like I'm sharp and everything. I don't lack anything right now. Everything's fine. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Like everything feels good. I feel like um, it requires just a little bit of effort on the front end for me as an adjustment. But once I get in the rhythm of it, it's really not as difficult. Just got to make sure I have the things that I need ahead of time to be able to pack the lunches I need and to have the meals, that I need to have. But other than that, um, and to have smart snacks available and that sort of thing. But other than that, it's been smooth. I don't feel like I'm lacking for anything.
And it takes at least 21 days for a habit to form, for neural pathways to form in the brain. So you're a couple weeks in. So you continue packing food and following this plan. It starts to become habitual, something that you just become accustomed to. And and I think because of the fact that it's not extreme and it's something that you have the ability to choose foods that are not consistent with a really strict diet plan that you can add in when you feel appropriate. And it gives you that level of freedom that it's something that probably would be realistic if I'm reading you correctly to continuously follow over a long period of time if it didn't get any more extreme than this. Like this would be doable because it's not you don't have just a blueprint of specific foods that you're eating, but rather you can open it up if you feel that it's necessary for you to do so. But most of the time, you're keeping the basic rules intact, where you're getting protein in as often as you can, as many meals as possible, and keeping as carbs as low as you can.
Yeah, obviously you're the boss on this, but I would imagine that this would get easier once I get to a maintenance stage where, um, I don't have the mission of losing weight and being at a deficit for calories, and, um, but this is kind of putting me on the mindset of portion, I guess, moderation to some level with carbs, and um, but I'm like intentionally pushing protein down my throat, man. I mean, it's like, a half a pound of meat, basically almost every meal. So, and that's satisfying. That's satisfying. So, yeah, I mean, it's changing the game, really. Like if I eat a half a pound of meat, that's pretty well carrying me a good ways till my next, either snack or meal. And I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on anything. I enjoy, meat. And so I'm able to have things that I like throughout the day. And so, yeah, I'm pleased so far. Yeah, I'm pleased with where it is after 2 weeks.
Without me forcing you into it, you made the right choice. I mean, actually the perfect choice for you when it comes to the amount of protein that you're eating each meal. That 8 ounces of meat is exactly what I would recommend for you every single meal. That's a perfect amount to aim for. It gets you right into that zone where the protein will fill you up. It'll give the nutrients that your body needs, and it will allow you to offset other foods that you're consuming. So that way, there's not that insulin spike that you would normally get when you're consuming a very high carb meal. So let's say you decide to add some carbs into more carbs than you would normally consume on this diet into a meal, but you've had that protein. Your insulin levels aren't going to spike like they would if you were just eating all those carbs by themselves because you have the protein to offset that. And that does make a difference. It's going to make a difference in how your body reacts and whether you store body fat or whether your body fat loss comes to a halt. So, very important to get that protein in every meal if you can. That needs to be the primary goal. If you get that 8 ounces in, that would be fantastic because it's not only is going to give you the nutrients, but it's also going to curb your hunger. And curbing hunger is 90% of the battle. I mean, if the hunger isn't there, it makes it so much easier for you to just be able to say, all right, now that the hunger has been extinguished by the protein or almost extinguished, then I don't have much work to do beyond the protein to be able to get to a point where I'm satisfied. So you're able to make better choices. When the hunger is high and when the hunger's on fire, you want to dig into anything that you can possibly find. And that brings you back then to old patterns and old habits. So getting that protein in, it helps to curb the hunger before it starts to cause issues and sabotages the diet. So that's if you could stick to that as many meals as you possibly can, I think that's going to be a big part of getting you to the finish line.
Yeah, you make a really good point because I guess I hadn't really been thinking about that, but when I mentioned to you earlier the like insulin reaction, I think that's actually probably one of the reasons why I'm feeling better. Is just I don't have those highs and lows like I would normally if I'm just my normal junk. And so this really, I do feel actually better. I do feel better the way I am right now.
It's exactly why you're feeling better. Yeah, because anytime I've been on a high carb diet, especially as I get older, I feel run down. This is eating healthy foods. This is actually eating like just rice and those types of foods for carbs. If I eat a large amount of that, even with protein, I'm going to feel run down, tired. It just knocks me out almost completely. So I have to be very careful with my carb levels in order to be able to maintain my energy. And there's other negative consequences of that insulin spike in terms of inflammation within the body. And it also prevents you from burning fat and will cause you to gain fat if calories are high enough as well quickly. So controlling insulin is so critical. And that's one of the reasons why top loading with protein is so important. And trying to get as many of the calories outside of the protein from fat, because that's not going to boost your insulin at all. Like consuming fat is not going to have a negative impact. It's not going to bring your insulin levels up. the carbs, when they get over a certain point, that's when it starts to really impact your insulin. So the more of that hunger that you can extinguish with the protein and the fat, the faster you're going to progress. So what I would do, given your current situation with the diet, that you feel comfortable with it as a weight loss plan at this juncture, and that you're still achieving results, I would focus on trying to envision how much better progress you could make by just using exercise as the faucet, as the valve to control how much fat am I burning on this diet. So I'm consuming the diet that you've been eating and that kind of plan that you've been following. Just stay consistent with that for now. We'll make changes if necessary going forward, but then use that exercise component to try and increase the amount of progress that you're able to extract from that diet, because it's going to make a big difference once you do start adding cardio workouts in. Like I say, this week we're going to start with one, but this is a long game, so you just got to start somewhere. So if you get that one workout in, and then with the diet, just be as consistent as you think that you're able to be, because of course the more consistent you are with trying to keep carbs low, the faster that you're going to progress. So you just have to keep that in mind and make a judicious decision as to what you're going to do each and every meal. And hopefully the vast majority of them are low carb, high protein, and with fat. And that's going to really accelerate the process. But with all of the latitude that you've been given, obviously you've been making prudent enough choices to be able to consistently lose weight for 2 weeks, which is really what you're looking for. So I say it's a huge success up to this point. There's no doubt about it. And your attitude and the way that you feel about it is, to me, just as important as the weight loss, because you're coming to me now for 2 weeks straight that you've been reporting results, and you've been saying that you feel good about it, you have more energy, you feel stable, you feel as if this is something you could live with, you feel as if the freedom that it gives you is very helpful. It allows you to remain consistent. So to me, all of that is a positive. Like I see no negatives at this point in time, and we can certainly make changes as we go on, depending on your results and how you feel. But right now, with 2 weeks of results like we've gotten, the only thing I would recommend that you do this next week is that add that 1 day of cardio for 30 minutes, and just plan that ahead of time what day that's going to be, and try and make your diet plan as strict as you're able to make it. And just you give yourself that latitude, but just remember, going into every meal that you consume, just remember, this meal is going to last 20 minutes, if that, and then my life goes on. So I can choose what to do with that time. I can have something that is going to be helpful for my goal, or something that's detrimental. And I always have to make that choice one way or the other. So you have to use prudence to determine how much of that you feel that you need in the given week to be able to get by. And we'll just look at the results and go from there. Because obviously, if you keep losing weight at 2-3 pounds a week consistently, and you follow this plan, the same plan that you're on now, with minimal exercise, that sounds like a winner to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty remarkable achievement, with very little stress. If other than the meal preparation and just the planning that goes in, there's like really no stress attached to it. Am I right?
It's better progress than I've made in years. So yeah, I'm very happy right now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, brother. This is what you're going to do. It's very simple. Just add that 1 day of exercise. Plan it out now. In fact, you're here. So which day is it going to be? I'm going to put you on the spot. You tell me right now which day that you're going to exercise for 30 minutes. You got 7 days. We're on a Friday. So Friday to Friday, which day?
Sunday.
All right. That's Sunday. It. Easy. Easiest negotiation ever. We didn't have to go back and forth on anything. It came right out instantly. So that's perfect. So now it's on the calendar, Sunday. Put it in your phone, wherever it is you mark down your notes, wherever you get reminders. Just make sure that you actually see that Sunday's coming up. I got to get that 30 minutes in. That once that 30 minutes is done, then you don't have to do anything more for the week when it comes to exercise. You just have to focus on the diet and planning your meals out and just making sure that you pack your meals. And yes, that's the one aspect of eating healthy that a lot of people find challenging is the preparation, the time that they have to put forth and go into the supermarket, selecting the foods, and then prepping them, bringing them with them to work, and that's somewhat labor intensive. And someone who's extremely busy, may have a difficult time with that. There are other options. There are prep services or places that send you meals that you can just prop in the microwave. This is for people that need that super convenience. Obviously, it's going to cost more money to do that, but there are options for people that are in those situations who really don't want to put forth the effort in meal planning. But the least expensive way of doing it is to do what you're doing and get in a habit of doing it. If you can stay in that habit of doing it, then there's no reason to make any changes with that. And so far, so good. So I'm very proud of you, brother. I really am. You're doing
Bless
fantastic.
you, sir. I appreciate everything. I wouldn't be able to do it, like I say, without you.
Well, you're winning. You're winning so far. It's 2 weeks on the diet and you're winning each and every week. And let me just say, every week that you show up, you've won. And I anticipate that you'll be here each and every week. So I'm just excited to see what the future holds. And I congratulate you on everything that you've achieved so far.
Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.
See you next week.
Appreciate it. No more carbs on the day before weigh-in, man. Ever. Lesson learned, man. Lesson learned. Locked in, dude. Locked in, baby.
Look, every decade's going to be a huge celebration. I don't mean a Dairy Queen.
I'm 5 pounds away from getting out of 340s forever.
Forever. Dude, you have been in the 340s forever.
Get me under 330 and that's a whole nother vision.
Oh, dude. My God. Then,
yeah.
You're going to be insufferable.